In this module, you will learn about concept of market and its evolution over the time, market's role in the modern-day business community. Introduction. The word market is derived from the Latin word marketus, meaning merchandise, ware, traffic, trade, or a place where business is conducted. Let us now learn the concept of market in golden days. In olden days, before the invention of money, trade was done in barter system, which was simply an exchange of goods. Trading took place at fairs, which were held at specific places periodically. Those days were the best days, and hence were considered golden days. Let us now understand the concept of markets. The concept of markets is very solid and dynamic and has gone through a lot of change from the olden days till date. They have a very strong influence on the economy. Ever since the idea of a market has been conceived, it has been growing more robust and dynamic, and the process is still progressing. Many authors have defined this dynamic concept in different ways. The broad classification pertaining to meaning of market are traditional markets, market of 70s or 80s, modernized version, emerging markets, e-commerce and e-business. In this module, you will study about traditional markets and market of 70s, 80s, modernized version. First is traditional markets. The concept of a traditional market dates back to the time when there were no industries and hence manufactured goods were scarce. This phase of pre-industrial revolution world was characterized by the agricultural and handicraft economy. This period had no proper system of distribution. Because of lack of proper distribution, the agriculturalist, irrespective of his or her production, had to dispose of the surplus goods into his or her immediate neighborhood. According to the American Market Association, traditional market is defined as at every point where a specific commodity is concentrated for sale, a market is found. The definition given by American Market Association provides the traditional meaning of market. Few of the factors which are being emphasized by this definition are place. The goods are accumulated at a specific place. The buyers and sellers gather at this place to conduct the businesses. Different markets for different commodities. A particular place was used for buying or selling a commodity, and a different place was used for a different commodity. For instance, vegetables were sold in the vegetable market only, and food grains in the food grain market. The traditional market focuses more on a place where the buying and selling of goods actually takes place. The size and characteristics of markets changed drastically after the Second World War, mainly in the 50s and 60s. As the industries started to grow up with time, they started to focus on improving various activities in terms of quantity, quality, variety of the products, competition, awareness on the part of consumers, emergence of laws and enactments to protect consumers' interest. All these terms forced industries and manufacturers to produce goods which the consumers wanted, paving way to a newer and more scientific approach to define a market. In the words of Carnot, the term market is not any particular place in which things are bought and sold, but the whole of any region where buyers and sellers are in such free intercourse with one another that the price of the same goods tend to equality easily and quickly. The following points can be concluded from the definition. A market is not restricted to a particular place, but to a region. The buyers and sellers of a specific region have free access to one another. This free accessibility enables the forces of supply and demand to determine and operate competitive prices. The whole region is considered as a place of market. Market of 70s, 80s, modernized version. Every business activity is consumer-oriented. According to Peter Drucker, the purpose of business is to create customer, and customers do not have geographical boundaries. The idea of a market attained a wider view in the modernized version. Modern thinkers no longer treat it as a place where buyers and sellers meet. They believe it as the coming together of buyers and sellers living anywhere and transacting purchase and sale of goods is said to be a market. According to Clark and Clark, in fact, for most commodities, the market must not be thought as a geographical meeting place, but as any getting together of buyers and sellers in person, by mail, telephone, telegraph, or by any other means of communication. On analyzing the definition, we can conclude that a market is not a geographical place, but a meeting of buyers and sellers for a given commodity. The buyers and sellers remain in touch through any possible means like phone and mail. The buyers and sellers compete with each other. The area of the market can be regional, national, or even international. Based on this definition, we can summarize that a market is the atmosphere of a region in which the forces of demand and supply operate directly or by means of any kind of communication that are sufficient to bring about transfer in the title of the goods, and it does not necessarily mean only a place where actual buying and selling is conducted. In this module, you have learnt the word market is derived from the Latin word marketus, meaning merchandise, where, traffic, trade, or a place where business is conducted. The concept of markets is very solid and dynamic and has gone through a lot of change from the olden days till date. They have a very strong influence on the economy. The concepts pertaining to meaning of market are broadly classified as traditional markets, market of 70s or 80s, modernized version, emerging markets, e-commerce, e-business. The concept of a traditional market dates back to the time when there were no industries and hence manufactured goods were scarce. Traditional market depends on the place and having different commodities sold at different markets. A market is the atmosphere of a region in which the forces of demand and supply operate directly or by means of any kind of communication that are sufficient to bring about transfer in the title of the goods, and it does not necessarily mean only a place where actual buying and selling is conducted.